Keith Schweigert here from LankSports.com with your 2-minute drill for Friday night's Lancaster-Lebanon League Section 3 game between Elco and Northern Lebanon. This one's going to kick off at 7 o'clock in Fredericksburg. Now, I know what you're thinking. If you live in Lancaster County, why should you care about this game? It's between two Lebanon County teams. Well, I'll tell you, if you're a Section 3 fan, you may want to keep an eye on Elco. And Northern Lebanon is one of those teams that always doesn't get a lot of respect, but they're always one of those dangerous teams. And let's keep in mind, they're the last Section 3 team to beat Lancaster Catholic. That happened a couple of years back, but still they got that feather in their cap. So Elco comes into this one. They'll get a bit of a test this week. The Northern Lebanon is 2-1 in the season, and they share two non-league opponents with Elco, Pine Grove and Hamburg. How do they compare? Well, Elco barely beat Hamburg 21-19 in week 1. Northern Lebanon knocked them off 28-20 last week. But the Vikings had to battle with Pine Grove. They only won that one 20-12 in their season opener. Elco smacked Pine Grove around 43-12 in week 2. So if you want to go by common opponents, that's kind of a mixed bag for you. Not sure if that really says anything. But from a statistical standpoint, this one's looking like it's all Elco. The Raiders average 345 yards per game on the ground. They're very balanced. They average 161 on the ground and 184 through the air, so they can do it both ways. Their top offensive star is quarterback Aaron Aki, he's completed 32 of 46 passes for 567 yards, 7 touchdowns. He's also the team's top rusher. He has 191 yards and 2 scores on 36 carries. He's got a lot of good receivers to throw to. He has Justin Weatherholtz with him in the backfield to take some of that pressure off. And Elco's also pretty solid on defense. They're a little shaky against the run, but the only team that's rushed for less than 200 yards against them is Lebanon, and that's because A, Lebanon fell behind so fast, and B, they hardly run the ball to begin with. So Elco's had some struggles there. They got to tighten that up a little bit this week against Northern Lebanon. That could be good news for the Vikings because Northern Lebanon does most of their damage on the ground. They already have 3 guys on the team with more than 200 rushing yards. Top rusher is sophomore Colton Ryan. He has 239 and 3 touchdowns on 27 carries. Northern Lebanon averages 223 yards per game on the ground, so that might be their best defense. Just run the ball, chew up the clock, keep Elco's offense on the sidelines. That might be the game plan for them this week. If Elco's really going to contend with Lancaster Catholic, this is a game that the Raiders have to have. But let's not forget about Northern Lebanon. Like I said, they're the last Section 3 team to beat Lancaster Catholic. That was back in 2007. Maybe knocking off Elco will give the Vikings their due. We'll see. I think Elco wins this one. I like them to be a dark horse contender with Catholic in Section 3. They'll take their first step on Friday.